Nerd on the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
Attention, please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
There's so
I would
many
like
things.
you to address him as handsome man. 'Cause
Handsome.
That's what his
That's
credit
his
is.
character.
Is that really what it is?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Nerd on the Podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome.
Yeah, you are.
Life is good, but it can be better. All you have to do is want it and wish for more. However, nothing good is born from lies, and greatness is not what you think. And sometimes you can't see what you're learning until you come out the other side. Today, we dive deep in a timely fashion, because everyone's already done it, of the cardinal principles of the DC Amazon herself.
We getting on that hype train.
Yes, we are, you know. You got to
Just
do
at
it
the
to
next
them.
station.
It's a new year. Yes, we're talking about the film, the sequel to the 2017 Wonder Woman, 2016, I don't know, the 20s, the 20-aughts, 20-teens, with the DC sequel, Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, here we are. But also, anyway. So let's get right to it. Let's introduce the host. My name is Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Corey.
And I am Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon.
Patreon.
As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks, like you get early access to these episodes. You get bonus episodes that nobody else hears. You get lots of behind-the-scenes stuff that we like to send you guys, like in pictures and videos and stuff like that. But you also...
All that stuff.
But you also get access to secret channels on our Discord server that are just for you, Nerd On Nation members, where you can talk to other members. And you get what we call the Nerd On Nudge on our other weekly show, the Nerd On Update, in which we will answer your questions first. But do check that out, nerdon.tv/Patreon, and check out that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. Do consider joining that Patreon, because it does allow us to keep growing and be the best that we can be and create quality content for you. And also a huge shout out to our partners, Apogee and Odyssey. Apogee have equipped us with these hype mics, the ultimate podcasting microphone. It's a wonderful microphone. It is a wonderful microphone that is incredibly versatile. You can use it with Mac, PC, even mobile. It's pretty cool. So do check it out if you're even thinking about podcasting or creating some sort of video or audio content. Check it out. It's high quality. And also check out Odyssey. Their headphones are quite comfortable and quite high quality, and more to come with our partnership with them in the future. Really a wonderful company.
The future of rock and roll.
Kind of a small mom and pop company, but they create some incredibly high quality products that are known throughout the audio industry. So do check them out, Odyssey. And that, my friends, is the housekeeping.
Woo.
Let's do this.
We did it. We made it.
We did the
We're
thing.
here. Looks like we made it.
Look how far we come, my baby.
Everyone.
That's kind of a song.
I know, right? It's a new year, y'all. And
I'm still waking up from 2020.
still waking up, but also, we took a little bit of a break, going a little behind the scenes, and I'm like, what do we do next? Okay, yeah. So, we do our first two segments of the show, baby. If you're not
What
familiar,
happened? I blacked out.
First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go into our first segment, which correlates to the end of the show, because at the end we are going to rate this one film from 1 out of 5, and that leads us to Guess That Grump.
There's a woman who becomes a cat, and Pedro Pascal makes wishes as Max.
84.
Well, that's our
already said it.
theme song for Guess That Grump. Tom, could you
That is
explain
the
how,
only song we've ever had, guys. And
It's the only one.
It took us 100
It never
episodes to finally
changes.
get to this one episode, so we could finally get the lyrics right.
Yeah, the lyrics are pretty much perfect now.
I think we did
as
it.
you heard.
Kristen Wiig
I think we did it right.
becomes a big cat. Yeah.
But no butthole like cats.
Yeah.
So
This is where we go around the screen, Tom.
Yeah, we're gonna go around the screens and we're gonna guess who's going to have the lowest score. No matter how high the number is, the lowest one will be the grump for the week. And since I always explain and never get it wrong and never improvise it, then I'm going to have Corey guess. Oh, he can't guess first. I'll guess
scared.
first. I'll guess first. I'll
Tom
guess.
looks so defeated right now. He's like, I can't do that.
Because there's a thing.
Corey takes notes. And I got a thing.
Corey
I
takes
gotta
the
pitch.
notes, so he can't go
There's
first.
a thing
I'm
for
gonna
our
pitch y'all
listeners
some.
to get
Yeah.
involved with. So I'm going to
I
guess.
gotta tell you at the end.
Yeah. Corey. Corey will be the
You're gonna
grump.
guess me?
I'm going to guess you.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Cool. Sweet. Who's next?
I kind of almost wanted to go Caitlin, but I don't know. There was.
I get it. It's no matter how high, it's gonna be a grump. I get it.
We'll see.
I think it's gonna be Corey as well.
Whoa. Okay.
You sound
shock
so
and
like
enthusiasm.
mock shocked. You're
Josh,
like,
who you
whoa, that's such a crazy choice. Why would you ever?
No,
do
I was
it?"
also downloading the. full
I know.
numbers.
I know.
Also, Corey.
Yeah.
Dang.
Wow.
That's funny.
I want him to
Okay.
have the highest score now.
I do too, kind of. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We will see.
Who's your
I'm saying
vote?
that a lot.
He looks really troubled.
He does.
Guys, you all
And it's
remember the
pretty fun.
SATs? And we all knew we weren't going to get that answer. That's where he's at right now.
I think it's gonna be
May.
Tom.
It's gonna be May in like 4 months.
That's all. But let
Okay.
me tell you people at home about something. If you're part of the Nerd On Nation, y'all already know. You can take part in our episodes. You can participate. You could be our Guess That Gator, grass-fed, grumper, Gatorade, gluten-free,
There's
great
more. Yeah.
warrior.
Wish granter.
grumper. Yeah, there you go. Grant wishing.
Wish granting
grumper.
grumper. Yeah.
And what we mean by that is you can also guess who the grump will be on the episodes. By joining the Nerd On Nation, you can take place in the polls. And you get a shout out on the episode if you get it right. And the Nerd On Nation has spoken, and they think it's going to be me, Corey. at the end of this episode. So that might be the most votes for a grump we've had in a long time.
Man.
So that
You
means
won- and
Josh,
so you won the popular vote then.
I won the popular vote. So it's going to go Caitlin and Josh with no votes, and then Tom with 1 vote, and then Corey with 4 votes.
Okay.
Before we get into
I
the
kinda
episode, I do want to
Yeah.
point out that way back, way back, it feels like forever, back in June, we did the episode on the first film because we were going to do this episode and then things happened.
Yeah, things did occur. Instead.
Yeah.
That's in the past. We don't bring that energy here. We
Oh,
don't
okay.
bring that
Okay,
energy
okay,
here.
cool.
Right.
Tight.
Unless we're trying to wish it back.
That is in the
someone-
year that shall not be named.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go first with my initial reaction because I
Wait,
kind of want to
yeah,
give reason why I voted for Corey. So
Okay.
it's been.
I'm ready to sip this tea.
Yeah, right. So the film has been out for a bit.
curious as well.
And I watched it on the day Christmas Day of, and I enjoyed it. I hands down I was just like, this was an enjoyable film. It answered all the things that I wanted of like, what does she want? What does she need? What is the film asking? Like these certain things. But there was a lot of the film that I was watching. I was like, oh, people aren't going to like that. Oh, people aren't going to like that. And I didn't realize that I had mirrored all of what Kevin Smith had said about his co-host, Mark Bernard. And he's like, oh, I love this. Oh, he's not going to like that. And I thought about it. I'm like, I was like, next is someone who critically or constructively will look at a film as I guess harshly as I will probably be Corey. So I was just like, there might be some of those things. There might be, but I was like, there's a lot of things that he would like though. So I was just like, But so that's why I picked that. But anyways, my initial
Yeah, I see
reaction
it.
overall, I'll tell you one thing right now. I enjoyed it, hand to God, and I've watched it now 3 times, and I actually enjoyed it more and more afterwards. And it was really interesting because the certain parts just kind of hit in a really good way. Where I'm like, oh wow, like it's like there's a lot of movie, and then they still hit these emotional notes in a very, very powerful way. And also, the first time I watched it, when I enjoyed it, I was like getting over a hangover. And so I think that's like the true litmus test of like, you should be sick or hungover or it's just a
And if
bad
you still
mood.
enjoy
And
it,
if you still like it, then it's like, then you know you like it, like, and it doesn't have.
You heard
it's
it
not
here,
with-
folks.
yes and no, because when I'm sick, I'm also able to watch 7 hours of Price is Right. So I don't know if my litmus
Maybe
test
that's
works.
a bad
quality
litmus
TV though.
test.
Well, it's kind of like here's this like spectrum of like, sometimes you have to be in a really good mood to watch something really dour,
Yeah.
But no, I spent a lot of this break watching a crap ton of things, and then I came back and I watched, Wonder Woman 1984 last night, and I still really enjoyed it. And again, it's not to say that it does not have its flaws, and we'll talk about that later, but I enjoy. Who's
You like
next?
the movie?
No, I enjoy.
I
Okay,
enjoy.
okay.
I enjoy. Two.
Kaylin,
Two
you go
words.
next.
I'll go
Oh.
last.
Yes.
I won't bear the
Okay.
lead on this.
Corey was like about to. Oh,
No, I think I'll go
Um,
last because I have 4 votes.
okay. I struggled.
I
I struggled with it.
I should've-
Yeah, I struggled with it because I'm very gullible. I don't know if y'all know this. Super gullible.
What?
Things
No
shock
way.
me. Like the first movie, I had no idea what was gonna happen. It was like, whoa, I can't. That was it. It did. Wow. And then in this movie, I was like, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Like I even said dialogue before it happened, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no.
I have an exact moment where that happened too. So
Yeah, me too.
with yeah.
Well,
And
in spoilers,
yeah,
we'll talk
we're
about
not in spoiler territory yet, but yeah, it just felt like I already knew the movie I was watching from the first scene, which was really cool. Like they had so many cool things in this movie, but there were so many things that like kind of sucked the moment out for me. That it made me have a hard time with it a little bit. Still cool.
I was
but
gonna
I
say, did you
struggled.
like it? I mean, like just enjoy the watching experience.
don't-
I can already feel my vengeance coming to completion. On
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
you
say.
I've got.
can probably feel it coming to completion.
The
already.
reckoning
I,
is
I
happening.
I really struggled with this movie.
Okay.
I want to like it very desperately, but I don't think that I do.
Okay.
Joshua?
There you have it. Josh.
Initial reactions. At first, my first watch, I watched it on Christmas Day. I kind of walked away going, okay. Okay. Lots of things that I really, 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 really liked. There were like walking away from it, it was like, wow, this is a popcorn flick. To me, that was just like popcorn flick. This is cheesy AF. Swinging on that rope. That's cool. So I walked away with it a little disappointed the first time. I took a break, and I refused to read anything that was going on the internet because I started to, and I was like, oh, that was a bad idea. Never mind.
Yeah.
So I stopped, and then I took a break from it.
Shout out to
for-
fandoms.
I took a break from it, and then I watched it again. Different experience. I walked away enjoying it more, looking at things differently and going, oh, that doesn't bother me. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that doesn't bother me. Cool. That doesn't bother me. Yeah. So it's like, I enjoyed it. I'll say that. I enjoy.
I
will,
enjoy.
I enjoy.
I enjoy. All right, let's
If
go.
we
Corey.
remember our June or July episode, was it June?
it was
July? June, I think.
Sometime
Anyway,
this
it doesn't
past
matter.
summer.
Whenever we did the first Wonder Woman, I give it a 4.9. I loved that first movie. And walking away from this one, I loved it. I grew up on the Dick Donner, like super cheesy Supermans were some of my dad's favorites. So we watched those a lot. I also had in our household the Lois and Clark TV show was on a lot. And so this like struck a chord with me of like, let's go back to this Age of Heroes being kind of shiny and golden, and let's have the values be
Literally.
of that time of the 80s movies and stuff like that. And it was really refreshing. And I, without saying anything spoilery, it was like, I love a gritty, realistic movie as much as anyone, but goddamn was it fun. This was like such a like weight off my shoulders watching it the whole time, and I loved it.
It was like a breath of fresh air that we needed of like
Yeah,
all the stuff going on, and then you watch this and you're like, oh.
And so that was actually the thing. Actually, now that you reminded me of it, because it was Corey, you said it. You were like, you're talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, and you talked about like how like, you know, it's not like a hard hitting movie, but man, was it like a good palate cleanser after watching Infinity War.
Yes.
And for me, Wonder Woman was like such a good like, wow, like kind of needed to feel this.
I mean,
way
just
about
kind of like the first one was a very nice palate cleanser after like BVS and stuff. Like nothing against the director's cut of that film. It's dark and gritty and it's wonderful, but it was a nice like.
But it ends on a sad note.
Oh my gosh. So, you know, I enjoyed the color in it a lot, and we'll go into more specifics, but I really just had a lot of fun, and I have a lot to say. I actually have a lot of positive things to say about the main villain in this film, and why I liked it very much. So, there.
Because villains could be good, but they can be better. But anyways, so now we'll move on to the next two parts of our show, which are going to be our brief synopsis and then our production. And that brief synopsis is going to be given to us by
Josh. All right, here we go. Brief synopsis. Yes, Posh. Spice.
Gosh.
Diana Prince lives quietly among mortals in the vibrant, sleek 1980s, an era of excess driven by the pursuit of having it all. Though she's come into her full powers, she maintains a low profile by curating ancient artifacts and only performing heroic acts incognito. But soon, Diana will have to muster all of her strength, wisdom, and courage as she finds herself squaring off against Maxwell Lord and the Cheetah, a villainess who possesses superhuman strength and agility. And scene.
Well done. That was like 20 minutes.
that was,
But,
too
you know,
long.
we'll make up the
Can
time
you shorten it
somehow.
a little bit, please?
Yeah.
Um,
Google.
and then our production.
Our production. So this was distributed by Warner Brothers, who have done movies like Deep Blue Sea, A Cinderella Story, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. The director
God damn it,
is
Yes.
Patty
for that.
Jenkins, who worked on Monster 5, upcoming Cleopatra. The producers are Charles Roven, who did the Uncharted film The Dark Knight, Man of Steel, Deborah Snyder and Zack Snyder from Watchmen, Sucker Punch, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Gal Gadot, who did #Impact Cleopatra, Irina Sendler and Stephen Jones, Son of the Mask, Superman Returns, and Peter Pan. The screenplay is by Patty Jenkins, also known for Betrayal, Exposed, I Am the Night, David Callahan from Doom, Zombieland, Double Tap, shout out, upcoming I'm going to say it wrong, Shang-Chi, and Legend of the Ten Rings. Jeff Johns from Young Justice, writers.
Well, these are all writers.
Screenplay. Sorry.
Screenplay and story.
Jeff Johns, who's known for Young Justice, Green Lantern animated series, and Arrow. And then the story is from Patty Jenkins, who did Just Drive, Velocity Rules, Monster, and Jeff Johns. The cast: Gal Gadot, Fast and Furious, Keeping Up with the Joneses, 999, Chris Pine from I Am the Night, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, A Wrinkle in Time, Kristen Wiig from Bridesmaids, Mother, ! Ghostbusters, Pedro Pascal from The Mandalorian, The Equalizer 2, The Great Wall, Robin Wright, Unbreakable, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Blade Runner 2049, and Connie Nielsen from Inheritance, The Hunted, and Gladiator. The release date In the UK, it came out on December 16th of 2020. And for the US, it came out December 25th, Christmas Day in 2020.
For the rest of the world.
Yeah.
For the whole world.
The world. Sorry, hold on.
Oh.
So go ahead.
So the runtime is 100. I'm giving Tom time to change whatever he's about to change.
Yep.
The runtime is 151 minutes, and the budget was 200 million, and thus far it has made 38.5 million.
Just change it.
118.4 million.
How much did it make? Sorry.
So it made 118.4 million, and it
There we
took
go.
200 million to create. The Rotten Tomato score is currently at 60% critics with 354 users and an audience score of 75% from 2,319 users.
Oh, actually, that's better
That gives
than
you any idea of what it's.
I thought that was
and that
gonna be
changes. That
worse.
changes a lot.
Well,
So-
yeah, it changes a lot because in December 24th, it was 85% for critics, users, and 0 for audience. And then,
Oh, wow.
bang, those first few reviews, those just set the tone for how people are going to expect the movie. And it's just like, I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. I understand what critics do, and I get it. But I just don't like how, people tend to just kind of,
users were
like
brutal.
Josh, like,
Parrot. They'll
I need to
parrot it.
not look at the thing and watch the thing first and then come back. But anyways,
So here
now
we
that we're
are.
all out of that stuff, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go to our main meat and potatoes of the show.
Favorite parts.
Favorite parts, favorite characters, qualms, and finally we're gonna rate it.
Josh wants to go first?
I'll go first for
Okay.
favorite parts.
Okay.
I know that it's at the end of the movie, but it just it hit me so hard. And after this whole film that we've watched, and it's really just the scene between Diana and the body snatch victim. When they say so many things, I just, because it's been a theme of my life right now of like looking at my life and being like, there are so many things to be grateful for and to appreciate and to see the beauty in. And so that
It's a very
really,
2020 message.
yeah,
for
it
everybody.
really hit me of like, yeah, there's
I
so
would
many
like
things.
you to address him as handsome man. 'Cause
Handsome.
That's what his
That's his
credit
character.
is.
Is that really what it is?
He is a Hallmark actor.
Man.
He's known as handsome man. Do not take that away
He
from
is a
him.
handsome man.
Don't call him Body
Wow.
Snatch Man.
He is a handsome body snatch man.
I also like that you
And
call
you know
him
what
the
they did
body
really
snatch
well? He's
victim,
very
since that's
1980s handsome. You
what
know
he
I mean?
is.
Like he's like the 1980s
The
idea.
curvy kind of wave hair, like
Yeah.
Look, he can rock that long scarf. Also, everyone, we're all in spoiler territory now. So he can
yeah,
rock that long
spoilers galore.
scarf. And
Galloy?
Galloy and that pirate pants. And not a lot of people
I
can
love-
do that.
Does
I
everyone
love that
parachute?
he picked the exact same outfit that she
Yeah.
dressed him
Yeah.
in. And he was just like, my friends make fun of me for it. She's like, it looks nice. Like,
Just
Is that how it
was
sound like?
Very cute. I thought it was a very cute moment. Well, it's like the extra
was.
cheese
Gal
part at the end
Gadot,
of the
thanks for
movie.
coming to the show. We didn't realize you were here. Corey, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll start with my small moment that really I had to rewind and watch because it made me laugh really hard. First of all, just shout out to Chris Pine for being just
he's an American treasure.
Oh, he was
You can
so
watch
good.
him
So
react
funny.
to things, and it would just be wonderful.
There's a
Mhm.
moment where he finds the ticket in the trash
Mhm.
and he's like, you have a plane that can fly from here to Cairo without refueling. That's amazing. And she's like, we can't get you on the plane. We don't have a passport. He goes, I don't want to get on the plane. I want to fly it. I want to fly the plane. I want to fly that plane. And like the way he delivered that line, totally not even there with her in that moment. He's just in his own little world being like, I want to fly this plane I'm looking at right now. His delivery on that line, like, mwah. And then that led into just the invisible jet, which was comic book fans' dream.
The fireworks.
that was-
I screamed, I howled, and when I saw that, and I was like, "Oh my god, they did it! How
Yeah,
did
and the
you
moment
do
before
it?"
that where he's like, how could you not tell me, Diana?
He's like, "Well, shit, Diana."
That's it. Well, shit, Diana. Oh, radar. I forgot to tell you they could see you wherever you are.
Are they gonna shoot us?
Well, shit, Diana.
Shit, Diana.
I imagine
The
Tom
invisible
going,
jet. Come on, like,
The Invisible Jet was pretty cool.
The invisible jet. They're like, look, that was. Look, it's you can call it what it is. It's super fan service.
Oh,
and
yeah.
why didn't she bring it during BVS? We don't know. But also,
'Cause she didn't-
she might have
didn't.
lost it. But secondly, it was, it could be Chewie getting the medal. That's fine. But to me, I was just like, they gave it one, they gave it in story reason. Two, they showed how it even is. In other versions, it's like from another dimension. And so I'm like, how are they going to pull that? Like, and I didn't even know they were going to have it. So like when I heard, I saw, I was like, my father had a way of hiding. I'm like, no way.
No.
I freaked out.
No
Dana can attest.
way.
I was like, they're gonna do the invisible jet.
The fireworks.
They're gonna do the invisible jet. What's happening?
The way that they just like the whole scene of just like the fireworks.
very
It was
beautiful.
just so beautiful.
Yeah. And he's looking out at the wing and he's like, you did it. You really did it.
I
Invisible
was
jet.
so anxious during that scene.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get hit by fireworks?
I thought that the firework was going to go into an engine and then everything was going to go.
Those things are ready to be
Caitlin,
shot at.
We had just seen a lasso have a split end and lasso two guys behind her.
It was cool.
So for me, I thought the same way. I'm like, won't they get hit by the... It's magic.
That opening scene is
you're
pretty
right.
great. No, because like what they do, they'll do that sometime. If I'm remembering correctly from all the war things my dad would watch, is they would shoot stuff in the sky to reduce their visibility anyway. It's not really a threat to the planes itself. So as long as he's sure there's no planes on the other side of those fireworks, he'll be fine.
And the only thing I thought about immediately was like, you've seen people get thanks to the internet, we've seen a lot of people get shot and probably eviscerated by fireworks and they survive. I'm like, that plane's fine.
It's built to be shot at with real bullets.
You're right. You're right.
I will say this isn't one of my favorite parts, but Caitlin, you talked about the opening sequence
I just did.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
in the bill
I
earlier
did
on.
bring it up.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done, and I felt again like I was
With
watching
the
like a Dick Donner
mascara part
Superman.
or the mall part?
The
The mall
mascara.
part.
Oh.
I like the mall part where we see her in the mall. That was like, okay, I'm watching Superman 2 right now.
That made
and
me
it's
think
pretty
a
great.
lot of
and-
the Wonder Woman show before.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I
Sure.
think Corey kind of also talks to me a little bit before we get to the mall, because you see Diana just kind of going around saving the day without seeing her. We just see blips of her, and so
Kicking
you
the
get this
car
idea that
was
there's
pretty
this
great.
like, there's this silent, quiet hero, not in the shadows, but in the middle of the day, but just moves so fast that no one really sees, and everyone's just kind of like dumbfounded, of like, what just happened? And yeah, to Corey's point, like, I think a lot of people on the internet, like, I think shy away from that sequence, but to me, it does kind of set this tone for the film of like, this is what Diana's been doing. And then I think it immediately follows up when you see her apartment and you see this mausoleum of all her memories. And like, shout out to Etta Candy, right? Like you see her old and I was like, it's gone now. And, but I was just like it felt good because I liked that she does these things. It's wild. It's fantastical. She's saving the kids and all that stuff. And she doesn't take credit. And then she walks home to this quiet life. And it's just like,
kind of lonely.
it's very lonely.
And I think one of the reasons I like it so much is it reminds me of those old superhero films, but it also reminds me of the Ninja Turtles 1990. Remember when they protect April for the first time and you don't see them, you just kind of hear it and see little flashes here and there. I love that shit. I like it's very exciting for me to be like, let's. It's like not showing the monster right away. It's like Jaws. We don't show the shark until halfway through the film.
I enjoyed the tiara throw. I think people, internet people, I'm going to say people, I'm saying internet people didn't like that, but I'm like, I'm about it. I'm about
really?
people, anyways. I'm about things that just like don't really like, cool, just do it. Just do the thing. Like, we have yet to see since maybe Schumacher Batman an actual batarang. Everything's like a ninja star that kills people. And you're like, well, can it bounce back? Can it bounce back, please?
Well, can it come back?
To me, that's a very capes and cowl kind of thing where you throw a thing, it bounce back.
Yeah.
Everyone has
I
a bolo and then they're all tied up at the knees.
Caitlin,
One of my, I want to talk about one of my favorite parts. And this is I think this is probably my absolute favorite moment of the film, and it's when again, we're in spoilers. It's when we say goodbye to Steve, and oh my god, I broke. That scene broke me.
That definitely got me too.
Like, it was just like, you don't have to say goodbye. I'm already gone, and it's to me, and so this is where
You could hear him saying "I love you."
yeah,
as she
I love you,
walks away.
Diana. I always will, no matter where I'm at, where I am.
Just like,
And well, the thing is, like, and that's the thing where she has to, and that's the thing I love. You get the character, you make them decide, you make them have to make the choice of like, I have to do what's right. And so like, a lot of the feelings I got from this film are actually like a little beer goggled or rose tinted glasses of Spider-Man 2.
Hmm.
And
Oh, yeah.
it's very similar of like, you can't get what you want and your life is being torn up. You can't do anything right technically because you're wanting it both ways. And it's costing you this, and it's costing the world that. And you have to make that decision of like, I got to do this. I have to say no to you in order to say yes to the rest of the world. And so when that happens, and then I think it was a very beautiful moment. It's like, I think there's different things you could do, and we'll talk about that in like the qualm section, but like there's different things you could have done with that scene or with Diana overall. But I was like, then she learns how to fly. And then I was just like, that's to me, a very beautiful moment of like, that's the thing that she always was mystified by him. And it was the thing that she, we were led to assume that she's never done. Like in all of her pictures, she's on a boat or she's walking, right? She's never been in a plane. We could imagine. But then like that moment allows her to grow, get her powers back, but also then she learns how to fly and then takes the lesson that he's able to give her of like how to catch the air. And I was just like,
yeah,
this is a really beautiful moment.
Getting to see her fly was pretty cool because
It was a very Dick Donner moment too.
Yeah. Obviously, she hasn't always been able to, but in the comics, she wasn't always able to either, and that kind of evolved over time. And so it was a nice way to kind of again give reasoning to that as well.
Well, also it immediately kind of says like, oh, that's why she doesn't need a jet.
Yeah,
because that's always been a thing too. I was like, she does have both, but why?
The catching lightning was like be still my beating heart. That was
pretty cool. That was very
wonderful
cool
for me. That was a nice image of seeing her lassoing lightning and using it like her father's light. Anyway, big deal. Big deal energy.
Kaylin, did you have a specific favorite part you mentioned yet?
The mascara.
No.
The whole everything on Themyscira because it felt
Their Hunger
like-
Games.
yeah, the Hunger Games.
I was
It
gonna say their
really
Titan
cool.
games. All they were missing was The Rock.
The Olympics.
It was just it was basically just cool to get to watch the Themyscirian Olympics. Like all of the like the bright colors and
The
like
fanfare.
anything horseback is gonna be like a plus for me because I love horses. And all of the like these badass ladies just wrecking it. Like that was just really, really
Yeah.
cool.
When I first watched that scene, I was a little bit like, what kind of obstacle course is this? And then also I was like, oh, it's like a triathlon. And then I was like,
Yeah.
because I remember
Watching
I was like, what's happening? Because I saw the opening, I think, on right before they premiered the film in Brazil, and they're like, here's the first 4 minutes. I was like, and then they don't show everything, and I'm like, they don't show the whole thing because of course.
And then her getting busted for cheating.
Okay, so go ahead. I want to hear Kayla's.
no, I mean that was most of it of just like you get a full picture of like who Diana is and like how old she is too of like this is what her childhood was like and this is where she started as a kid. She was like going up against these
Adults.
other amazing Amazonian warriors when she was like 10. So imagine the person that she is hundreds of years later. Like you get a little bit of that weight of
Must
like,
be nice to be the child of Zeus.
right.
She is a
Right.
demigod. But I mean,
Must be nice.
I-
That's what all the other Amazons say.
we'll save the conversation for our qualm section, but I did really love the telegraphing of that first scene of like, this is the scene, Diana, you're not ready to win. You took the short path. All you have is the truth. No hero is born from lies. And that later on plays out as like the theme of the film of like, you can't always have
the
what you want.
thesis.
And you see her crying and she's like, that's all I want. I could have gotten it. And it's with Robin Wright's character. I think it's Antiope. And she's just like, no, you're not ready. Like, that's it. And that's like, to me, when I watched, like, that's what the film's going to be about. And I wasn't mad about it. It was more like, cool.
A lot of
like,
films do that.
A lot of films do that. And typically
You're kind of supposed to.
You should do that. It's kind of like an essay, like this is the opening, the topic, the topic sentence. And so like when I saw that and like I actually was pretty, I don't know, maybe this is me. Maybe I don't have clear vision of like the quality of child actors, but I thought she was great.
No,
Like
she
when
was really
she
good.
was like wanting it and
Yeah.
so sad, and then her mother was like, "Your time will come." And she's like, "When?" And then I was like, "I know what that feels like. You know, like it's not your time."
Being
yet. It's
a
like,
kid,
bitch,
be like, why?
bitch, when? You know what I mean? Like, it's like I did everything. I could do it, but you guys took it from me. And it's like, but this is the lesson you have to learn. And then it's carried by the opening dialogue or opening monologue that Gal Gadot provides with. You only learn the lessons when you're on the other side of it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like this is the lesson. Like this is the beginning of the lesson of what. And that's the thing with Wonder Woman. It's kind of like I take what Zack Snyder said. It's like you have these titular giant titans of the superhero community who are these embodiments of things, but it doesn't mean they should be stripped away from those lessons of what that is. And so like they later become those things because they've been through these trials and
Because
tribulations.
they had to learn it first. Yeah.
And I'll say that the kind of leads me to my second favorite part. Not really, but I just want to say my second part, and then someone else can go. The ending with Pedro Pascal and Alistair.
That was my next thing.
It broke me apart, and I know Corey, you're gonna have a whole part about it, so I want you to go about it. But like, just like,
Well,
you're here
getting-
because of my
yeah.
wish. She's like, no, I'm here because I love you, and I'm not,
Yeah.
and you don't ever need to wish for me to love you. And I was just like, oh my God, like, and that was the thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's what I needed to hear and to feel after last year, and like hearing that and feeling that and seeing it, and just like, jeez, you know, like it's wearing the heart on their sleeve, putting their emotions on their sleeve. And I was just like, it feels good to hear those things come from a man who I think I kind of I identify with, of like wanting to aspire to greatness for the cost of anything, and feeling like you grew up in squalor, that like you were entitled to everything, but in the end of it all, you end up losing everything, you know, like you end up losing your humanity. And so like I just really enjoyed that scene so much. And I don't want to, I want Corey to talk about it, but who wants to go
Yeah.
next, Josh or Corey? I feel like
Josh, go
Yeah,
for
I
it.
can
I
go.
have a whole thing I want to give up about Max. So
It's more of a sequence of events, but up to a certain point, I really
lay it
love.
on me, Daddy-O.
I really love the sequence of events of Barbara Minerva discovering her powers, so to speak, and becoming like
going to the dark side.
Yeah, going to the dark side. But just like kind of even from the first moment where she kind of wakes up from her wish, so to speak, and she has that kind of heel moment hopping up on the chair, and all of a sudden she has a little bit more agility and, you know, that kind of thing. It's just,
People are noticing her.
yeah, people are noticing her. I kind of like that, but then the dark side
Chat ass
happens.
Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
guy.
But yeah, I
Jake from State
I mean,
Farm.
especially the gym scene. I just think it's
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
amazing
yeah.
when she's just in
She's
there
just
and
like, huh.
yeah, just slowly going up the weight and going, I can do more.
This is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lay it on
I
me,
like
Corey.
that scene a lot too. So for me, in the ethos of superhero films, I find Max Lord to be really, really interesting and very refreshing at the same time. First of all, for one of the reasons that Tom stated is we don't always, in fact, off the top of my head, I can't really think of a villain redemption we've gotten in a long time, which is very golden age superhero-y thing where, you know, they didn't die or they're not a one shot. They, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like oh, well, now they're in Arkham or now they're in police custody or they've lost their
Or
mind or
now
they've lost
blown
everything.
up with the goblin bomb, Venom.
Yeah, or like they've lost everything because of what they did. There's no opportunity, I feel like, in superhero movies that villains have the opportunity for redemption or to learn a lesson. Not only that, but the same lesson that the hero's learning, which is really nice, which is kind of in a storytelling way is really, really good way to intertwine your villain and your hero. Is they should be learning, they're learning the same lesson on opposite ends, right? But not only that, but it was nice to have like a villain that wasn't all the way on one side of being like, I'm going to take over the world with all my superpowers and technology that I have, or on the other side where real estate is my way to it. I just found him to be very strangely relatable in a way. And like all he wants is for people to respect him for what he's always believed in his heart that he was. And it just kind of gets away from him. It's like a dog chasing cars. Like he's not entirely sure what's going to happen, but he just knows he really wants that fender on that car. Like he wants that bumper. And his moment at the end with Diana, where he realizes he's going to lose his kid, like really hit home for me. And I think this is part of why it was so refreshing to me is the main villain. Is it wasn't some ancient evil. It wasn't necessarily even a villain that was so super tied to the hero in some way where they're like, oh, I created this villain, which we've gotten a lot of in the MCU. Not to say that that's a terrible thing either. I think that can be used as a really good tool that the hero created the villain. But I think it was just nice that it was separate and it felt like a one-shot comic book. Like it really did from start to finish for me. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it because I haven't gotten that in 10 years.
Well, the thing I really enjoyed of it is that it's Wonder Woman. And so Wonder Woman in her comic book ethos has been the champion of like, I forget what it is, like do not kill when you can pacify. Do not punch when you can extend your arm. And I forget there's a whole, carry on of this thing of like, do not raise your voice if you have not tried just speaking calmly. And I was like, if there is one hero that I imagined being able to like, I'm going to win the day by not punching someone until they die. It should be
That's my next
Wonder
favorite
Woman.
part connected to that is that I love that the end climax was the lasso of truth moment of her just reaching to the humanity of people. I loved the reveal. I thought the shot of like looking down at his foot and seeing that she had gotten just the end of her rope to finally wrap around him was wonderful. Because there's part of me, I was like, man, she's talking pretty quietly right now. And then you realize he's like, you're talking to me? And she's like, no, I'm not talking to you. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I really enjoyed that it wasn't some big like
Fight.
big fight that like had the stakes of the world.
It was a moral
I didn't
battle.
realize that.
Yeah, it was a battle. It was a battle of morality, and I think that again, especially in what we've gone through this last year, was a very important message to have.
I think you see, some of it in DC, and that's why like I just love that scene when she's like running and then she finally goes to the sky. But like also when she gets the lasso of truth, everyone sees the truth. Everyone's looking at their screens because the rays are shooting over the entire world. And so I'm like, wow. I was like, so Wi-Fi. But then so I love that it's again, to that point where you get kind of lost a little bit when you just cut away so many times. But if you're listening or you're reading the captions because you're an old man like me, to what she's saying, and she says, because you're not alone, you're not the only person that ever wished that everything could have been different. And I was just like, oh my god, like it just, and that's the thing where this film it just forces you to feel something. And like, a joke about how last year it's like, I just want to feel something. It's like, well, I felt it. It's like I felt it.
Yeah, I just, after, not to say that big fights aren't fun, but it was just, it was refreshing to see this like golden age era kind of like let's battle for something else without
and even
without even having to get an altercation. It's just a message. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, and even the fight scene with Wonder Woman and Cheetah was in a contained space. It wasn't as big as we've seen where it's like city blocks wide and like going across, it was like a nice contained space.
All that got destroyed were a couple of telephone wires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as much property damage. So,
and I mean, that was a really nice sequence of just like, now she has her powers back. And it's like, is she up to the challenge to fight a foe? Because before she's got her booty handed to her. And again, fight scenes are much more than just like punchy punch. It's more like, do you have the conviction, the resolve to, is my resolve better than your argument? So
yeah, it's much like, it's the reason the fight scenes in Lord of the Rings are so memorable is each one of them has some sort of narrative weight to it. The Battle of Helm's Deep is literally the last stand of men. If we can get through this, we may have a chance kind of thing. So with that, I think that this, anyway, I think you said it perfectly.
Kaylin, any other favorite parts?
Your point. I have one more.
Yeah, you
I
go
have
for
one
it.
more.
I just want to make sure
Go
that you
for
had
it,
your
Josh.
piece, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
Josh.
can think of it. Yeah, you go.
It looked like you had more to say, Caitlin.
No.
We've only made brief mention of this before this section, but I'm going to say it as a favorite part, and it is the fashion show. One
Oh,
particular thing that he said
Fancy.
was when he
Is it
pulls the
parachute
fanny
pants?
pack up and he goes, American issue fanny or American issue bag. Like he's just in his head, it's like an American issue bag, and it's really just a fanny pack with an American
Yeah.
flag on it. And
Yeah.
just the continued use of fanny pack, because I think nothing says sexy like fanny pack, right?
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing at all.
Right?
I mean, I'll tell you right now.
yeah, go ahead.
I think a lot of people give this movie grief because of not enough Wonder Woman, but a lot of Diana Prince. But those are like a lot of my favorite parts. Because
Same person.
look, Corey, look, I read a lot, and I'm just like, I don't get it.
I
Wait,
know. I'm just saying that's a silly one.
I really like everything they did at the very like first half hour of the film of like just setting up where we are and like showing Diana be alone at that cafe and like not share the taxi and all these things. I was just like, damn, baby, I don't even know. You haven't even said a word. And I, like if you just watch this movie in a vacuum, you're like, man, I really care about this girl. I hope she gets whatever she wants, and I don't know what she wants yet. She misses this guy, but I don't know what's gonna happen. If you watched it in a vacuum, you didn't know what the fuck it was. And then I just really enjoy like any moment where she's not at full power, because like that's like the thing, right? Like how do you take, like if you thought about it, like how could anyone beat Wonder Woman in 1984? Superman hasn't arrived yet. So there's not been a superpower person that we've seen yet at this point.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of this nice thing of like seeing her become mortal and like being wounded. And it's like, oh my God, there's stakes. She's getting her booty handed to her. And it's like a little herring. It's like, oh, she's not gonna win. I just hope no one like dies in a bad way, where it's like there's every once in a while I'm like, there's gonna be a moment that Steve dies again, and I'm like, it's gonna be a bad time, and then she's just gonna have to go full rage mode, and then I'm like, I don't know, but right, so I'm just like watching it, I'm just like, when she gets shot for the first time by that tank, I was like, wait, whoa, what?
Catching the bullet with the lasso was like, loved it.
I enjoy, and that's the thing where I enjoyed that sequence
The
too.
truck flip.
Yeah,
Oh,
the truck flip was
Oh,
really
where she
cool.
like flies up in the
But
air.
also, I just
afterwards.
love when she was pushing the truck.
Yeah.
She just takes the truck and starts pushing. I'm like, oh my God. And she's keeping, and that's the thing, they shot it in a way where like you actually see her keeping up with the cars, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a real Wonder Woman. I was like, dang. So like, and
Which made pulling the lock off even like funnier. Of like, damn, that's a really strong lock.
well, so I think that's the first clue, right? And you're watching and you're like, and I was watching, I was like, what the hell is going on with her? I was like, is she not that strong anymore? And then I realized immediately, then I was like,
It takes something.
I was like, I'm taking her powers. And but like I also
quickly.
just like, that's to me the true hero. And I think if Stan Lee was here today, he would probably say the same thing, because he's always stood on that pillar of like, when it comes to taking down the villain or stopping, like, or picking up change for a woman down the street, you pick up the change for the woman down the street.
Yeah.
Like, and so like you seeing her having to juggle like getting beat up, but also like, I gotta save these kids. Oh, I gotta save the security guards who were just shooting at me. It's like, man.
Yeah. It's not their fault.
Yeah. So
Obviously, we got to mention the Linda Carter cameo.
Oh,
yeah.
oh my
I will
God.
say, called it when they did the flashback
I did
in
not
the
see it
gold
coming.
armor and saw her eyes. I was like, I didn't know she was going to come into the film, but I was like, they
Yeah.
definitely modeled that off Linda Carter's eyes.
I did
and
not
then
see
then
it.
she
it
shows up.
was.
And I was like, ugh. I thought
That's so
that was great.
cool.
I thought it was the greatest way you could do a cameo is make her one of the
Make her a character.
immortal warriors
Yeah.
of the Amazons, and
It's just
have her at the end just be like, I've been doing it for a while. And I was like, yeah, you have.
Yeah,
Go-
you
you go.
have.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cute.
you
You go.
go.
Favorite character?
She deserved every second of that cameo.
Yeah.
Just want to say.
Let's go favorite characters. Favorite two characters. We'll make
Two
it
characters.
tough.
Wonder Woman included in that list?
Wonder Woman and Diana Prince are one person. Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor are not one person.
Okay.
You can't count them as one person. Some people do that shit. We're like, Jesse James. It's like, nope, those are two characters.
Then for me, it's got to be Max Lord
Number one.
and Wonder Woman. Yeah, I just think, It was such a good villain, y'all. And I hit like the more desperate he got throughout the film, the more interested I was in his storyline. And yeah, I really enjoyed his story arc. I thought Pedro Pascal did a wonderful job playing this like manic guy who's like probably dying and bleeding on the inside, but just knows he needs to get just a little bit more, and then he can start, and then freakishly seeing him, say, I take your vitality, I take your life force,
and you give her your rage and your prowess. I'm like,
yeah.
oh my
and
god! I was like, the whole world.
And then you see him at the end of the film, and he's totally healthy again. You're like, oh shit. Loved it. So Max Lord, and then Wonder Woman was great. Her arc is great. That opening scene in the mall was everything I wanted it to be.
Josh?
Mine is going to be Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman.
Okay.
I love Chris Pine. I love just anytime he's on screen. I love all the reactions. I enjoy.
There's not a moment you go, caught you acting, Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Caught you acting.
And also the thing too is like, I remember when I hearing about like how he's going to come back for the second one, I was like, but why? And then you watch him like, oh, but yes. And then for me, I'm like, the third one, I'm like, I wouldn't be mad if he showed up again.
It's just
because I like seeing him, but also, why?
Yeah.
It's the naivete of just like
and switching the fish out of water roles.
Yeah. I really like that, where it was just like, I mean, that was the thing where it's like Diana comes in trying to teach the world about love in the first film. And Steve has to kind of be like that reality pill. And like now he's just like in this magical world, like she's enjoying ice cream and she's like, what are these dresses? They're not good for battle. Yeah. And she's like learning all these different things. Like, and she teaches like dance and love and like compassion for everyone. And then this one, she has to learn something for herself, but it's also kind of like she's now getting the chance to teach him about the world. It's like, it's a nice poetry.
That's just a trash can then.
Yeah. Right. Like with the escalator, he's just like, oh my God, I really thought I was going to fall. I was like, wow.
Oh, this is a cool little tidbit. Dana's grandfather designed a plane that is in the museum in the movie. Yeah. What? I'll send you guys a screen grab. We'll post it on the socials, but it was very exciting for her and obviously her grandma. He's passed on since, but she was like, he's in a movie with Wonder Woman. I was like, that's very sweet.
Do you see?
But yeah, we'll post it up. It's a like big foreground plane when they're walking down the stairs.
Nice.
So
you see Gal Gadot's hubby and child?
No.
They're at the very end of the film during the Christmas sequence. I call it Christmas sequence. And they're on the merry-go-round or carousel, whatever you want to call it. And you just
carousels go counterclockwise.
This one was going clockwise. And so
I had to write about it.
I had no idea there was a difference.
I did research for a PA's joke. Yeah. So
there's a dad, and you see her with a little girl and a little pony thingy. And I'm like, there they are.
I love that.
Caitlin? Favorite?
For me, oh my gosh, what Linda Carter's character?
Asteria.
That was the coolest thing ever. I was so
reached out to you because
excited.
you're the TV fan.
Yeah, I 100% it did.
Yeah.
And then Steve Trevor, just like the whole dress up sequence of like, does everyone parachute now? Like, I thought that was cute.
Parachute pants. Everyone parachute.
I know it was even in the commercials, but I was just like, it's fun. Dress up sequence.
For me, I flip Corey's. It's Wonder Woman, because I just really like that we kind of threw her into the grinder.
For sure.
And we really like, you broke down the character. She was not at her peak strength, and you gave her new challenges, and her challenges were not only physical, but they were also existential. And I think
mostly existential.
Yeah, and that's the thing where I really enjoy. And there's a moment in the film that I didn't talk about, but it's when Steve is like, you know what you have to do. And this is in the apartment before they peace out. And she's like, what if you fall? And I'm like, what do you mean fall? Oh, fall, like the thing. But then like, he's like, you know what you have to do. And she's like, no, can I just not have this one thing? I've never, and it's like, I feel that at a primal level of like, just one thing. Just give me this one thing and you can't have it. And you're like, oh my God, I've done nothing but give. I've done nothing for these last 70 years
but then you're like,
give.
Oh, that's right. I do have a lot.
Right. And so there,
right.
and then I like Maxwell Lord. So the internet is a weird place. It's a wonderful place. It also I guess this film, so much.
Yeah.
Because this film gave Pedro Pascal, I like what the internet said, was like he was now the worst dad, but also the best dad in Mandalorian. But also gave him a bit of a redemption because he was in the Wonder Woman TV show pilot for 2010. And he played crap. I don't want to say he played a Steve Trevor, but he played some kind of like cop guy. And then now he's in this one. I'm like, there you go, baby. There you go.
There you go.
So now we
Dig
move
it.
on to the qualms. I kind of want to hear
Qualms.
Caitlin first because I feel like she got the most of them.
I
But you only can
almost
do
want to
two.
hear everyone else's first so that I can fill in for things that haven't been addressed.
It sounds
We
like
only get 2.
you only get two.
I know. That's
remember.
why I'm saying. I would rather you guys go first so I can.
I only have 1, so I'll go first, and it didn't affect my score that much. I didn't think Cheetah needed to be a part of this movie. I think it could have been cool as her own film. I get why they did it.
Mhm.
I enjoyed the scene she was in, but it wouldn't have been a negative if she wasn't there. Like I would have been like, it's missing something.
Mhm.
It felt like a little like you're making a peanut butter and jelly, and someone's like, oh, you should also put this extra little sweetness in there, like honey, and you're like, okay, yeah, I don't really need the honey in my peanut butter and jelly
Hesitation there.
sandwich, but like it's not going to taste bad, I guess. But it just seems like a bit much. That's all.
I would like it. Hopefully, she plays out later on. Because
sure.
in DC Rebirth, which came out in 2017, 2017, there is an arc that Wonder Woman and Cheetah actually go on an adventure, and it's called The Lies. And it's actually like Wonder Woman dealing with her like retcons. It's really weird. It's pretty great. Josh?
Yeah. 2. For
2?
me, I had a real not a real problem. It bothered me a little bit that the Steve Trevor body snatch kind of thing. It just bothered me a little bit because I was like, wait, we have these giant massive walls that can come out of nowhere, but Steve, I know it's a human paradox kind of thing. It bothered me a little bit. It's like there's really no fixing it.
We don't know how she worded her wish.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true. So, I didn't care for it. I don't think it needed to be set in the 80s because they set it in the 80s, but they didn't really use the 80s. There wasn't
I think it was
much
more of a let's make sure Superman's not around.
yeah. So,
And I kind of thought about it too. I was like, Wonder Woman 1984. Well, they couldn't call it Wonder Woman 2 because that'd be World War II. And she was in World War I. That's just a weird thing to think about. And I was just like,
Yeah.
whatever year you probably would have just wanted this. I was like, yeah. I just thought about that and went on a weird tangent. Those are your 2 qualms?
yeah.
Okay, so I'll go next. My thing with I guess it's an overall writing thing, and this might be with me with my blinders on, and I've vocally made this apparent that I kind of attribute this a lot to Jeff Johns, who is part of the screenwriting process, and before this he had never had any screenwriting credits on a live action film before.
Lots of comics, lots of TV shows.
Like everything DC related that we've probably covered, Jeff Johns has touched. Which it's I don't want to put it out in there in the world that I don't like them, but it's the sense of like I see that the impact you've made on the DC comics, like all the Green Lanterns, Barry Allen coming back, DC Rebirth, all of it's Jeff Johns. So like it's almost like saying Stan Lee at this point of like if he was part of the writing process, I could see the things that he does. And so the only other credit before this point is Aquaman, and it was for story. And even for that, so I'm like, it's a lot of movie, baby. So, and that's where I kind of see it with that of like, well, your fast and loose logic of your magic. And then also like, there are certain things that I'm just like, I don't like that line in particular is like, I'll never love again, or things like that where I'm like, that feels very comic booky and it makes sense on paper, but I don't think it looks well when out loud spoken. And
Translates.
I've done that so many times in the scripts I've read. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't look well when out loud spoken. I get it.
yeah, it doesn't look well when you
Doesn't
smell
translate
it.
great.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no.
And then a second qualm I have with it, I think, I mean, I was kind of reaching. I was kind of thinking about it because one of the commonality issues a lot of people have with it is pacing, and I don't think it has an issue with that for me. I feel like if you're kind of in for a longer film, then you understand what it is, and we have made it pretty knowledgeable on our or known on our show that like we like a longer movie, like because we don't have to worry
Look,
about
I just
theatrical
got done
runtime.
watching all 3 extended editions of Lord of the Rings, so this was a
Longer movies are
walk in
fine.
the park.
Yeah, and also it's just like you don't have to worry about this idea of like, oh, they cut that out because they need to save time for theater runtimes and stuff like that. It's like, nope, you just had the whole thing. And you're like, cool, I'm fine. But I think, in all honesty, my only other thing is like I don't think Lucien Perez, the kid who played Alistair, was well directed at some points. But like, I'm not going to put that
well
against.
directed at some.
In some points, he was good, but then other points, I'm like, oh well, he can move.
That first sad moment broke my heart.
Yeah.
That first time.
Oh
you
my
see him,
God,
he's
with
got the tears in his
Simon
eyes.
Stagg. There was a lot of things in here,
Yeah.
like comic book pulls. I was like, oh my God, Bialya? They're bringing in Bialya. Which also, by the way, shout out to you Jewish people. That was created by a Jewish writer who was like, there's a bial, which is like a bread or something like that. And he doesn't like it. And he was just like, I just created this country because I wanted to make this joke in comic books that I could write this thing about bread.
Oh my God.
And now it's in a movie. And I'm like, that guy wins.
What are you going to do?
That guy wins the internet.
Kaylin.
Yeah.
Drive us home with your last 2.
What's your 2?
So I wanted everyone else to go so I could kind of solidify mine a little bit. Because for me, the pacing is the wrong thing. Because like for me, it was everything felt predictable and then it took a long time to get there. So that's kind
Which
of
can happen when you know what's coming. It can feel
It's I think it would be called dragging.
extra long.
yeah. So I think that's what kind of got me a little bit was I would see all the pins and be like, they're gonna knock them down exactly like this, and now I have to wait for them to knock them down exactly like this. So yeah, it's precisely that. And then I've been thinking so hard on it, and now I'm like blank.
That's why you gotta
It's
get a
because
notebook, baby.
It's because I just don't want to like take a crap on it. Like it's I didn't really enjoy it, and that's why I'm struggling so much. I'm trying to be very succinct, but at the same time I'm like I didn't even really want to watch it again afterwards. Like there wasn't an enjoyment factor for me. Like
The story
I was
itself? Is that what you're, maybe if we focus it in on something?
I think so. Just like I really wanted more of an ending with Cheetah. Like it felt weird. The body snatching thing really, like I was very, as much as I loved Steve Trevor coming back, I was really off put by like, we're just joyriding this guy's body. Like, I got kind of creepy feels from that.
You also remember she's under the effect of the Dreamstone as well.
Right. And like I know there's magic
That's
going on
the
and
tough-
stuff. So
And that's
like
why I
I
say
understand.
it's a Jeff Johns thing of the magic thing of like,
Right.
It's that
So-
DC
so, like,
stuff.
I know there's like, and that's what I was like kind of juggling with myself was like, I know there's suspension of disbelief here. But some things were just a little too hard of a magic pill to swallow for me. And that's why I struggled a lot because this was a lot of fast and loose magic. And yeah, so I think I'll just stop on that and just be like, yeah,
Sure.
I had a bunch of like nitpicky things where I'm like, this just didn't work for me. But that's also just like this is not my cup of tea of this
Sure.
style of movie for this.
I think this was definitely, if I can, not saying that we can enjoy it where whatever walk of life we are, but I definitely watching this think it was aimed at like teenage girls.
Well,
More
it's-
so.
Yeah, I'll talk about it in my rating.
Okay.
Well,
I think that was the,
why,
you know what I mean? And then expand upon it. I think it was, or teenagers as a whole. It's just that lighter, let's tell a story, the fast and loose magic. is easier to comprehend or digest when you're a bit younger.
I think
just
also
think
the kind of idea of like you can't get what you want storyline versus sometimes the root of all evil is just man itself versus the first film of like, well, I killed
The
Ares. It's
thesis
like
for each.
the war. Why isn't the war stopped? It's like because the wars just happen. It's like, but I
Yeah.
stopped them. It's like, sorry, but doesn't
Oh.
mean we're
That's a
not
good or
worth
bad
saving.
thing.
That was my like actual like one was the nuclear weapons were just like everywhere. And it
Mhm.
to the point that it like made me even more uncomfortable of like, yes, I know they're bad. We all know they're bad. Why is everyone
That's the 80s though, man.
Yeah. And
There was
like
still a lot of the Soviet, like the Cold War, like kind of stuff going on. Is
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of
Of the
those things
time
where
period.
I get it. It just didn't
Like in the first one, it's all World War I because that was what was happening.
And that again, that's why I like with me.
1918.
It's Jeff Johns thing. It just became a
Yeah.
global phenomena where I was like,
Well,
Guys.
we didn't have as much of the like, there wasn't as much 80s happening for me to be like, oh, that was the time. Like, it was just a lot of talking about nuclear stuff kind of in these little moments, but it wasn't like a fuller overarching thing to me, other than being like, yeah, it was the 80s.
And all the Porsches.
And all the Porsches.
oh, I do want. Sorry, just because we started talking about the 80s, I was like, what? And then he was like, I have a good relationship with Sears. I can get you a 19-inch screen TV today. And she's like, I'll take the one I
Yeah.
don't have. And I was like,
Yeah.
That was a pretty good one.
So ratings.
ratings. So go ahead.
Ratings.
So
So it's Caitlin and Josh.
Caitlin first.
Josh? Oh,
Alphabetical.
I don't like that
Two-
alphabetical life.
2.8.
Eh.
2.8
Whoa.
from Caitlin. I think
Good
I was
God.
sorely mistaken.
I think you
Yeah.
might have been
Caitlin.
wrong guessing for me.
Yeah, I already knew that everyone was wrong from the beginning. And I feel
Jesus.
really weird about
It's okay,
it. but
Caitlin.
I know.
Josh,
I'm gonna
You
give it a
tried to not dunk
4.4.
on it.
4.4 for Josh.
4 for John.
Okay. Tom?
Not as good as the first film.
No.
For me, right? But also, I found it very important that we have just more female-led superhero films because I thought about it and I was just like, quote unquote, Rotten Tomato score, budget, blah blah, people, blah blah, all this like toxic shit that makes it like shitty to be like a nerd that actually likes anything. Because I was like, how many shitty sequels of dude superhero films have we gotten, and we still want more? And then like I feel like everyone was like screaming about this film, and I was just like, this wasn't the film that blocked your stimulus check. Relax, like this was a movie, like about
Yeah.
truth and justice and hope and love. And I'm like, relax. So I will say, it is a 3.9.
Oh, all right.
3.9.
So I was close.
You were
Got the
close.
second Grump.
By almost a 1.1 margin.
Everyone thought I was going to be the Grump.
And you're the
Everyone
highest.
thought I was going to
I know.
hate this movie for some reason or be critical about it. I give it a 4.5.
Whoa,
Oh,
I
yeah.
knew it. The reckoning. The revenge.
The reckoning is
I
here.
knew before we even began, I was like, I'm going to be the Grump. I know.
Y'all,
I
Nerd on
accepted
Nation,
it.
I love y'all, but
yeah.
Tom, I love y'all. Caitlin and Josh, y'all, I love y'all, but
No,
I
no,
was
I say it like
just,
this. I say it like
just
this.
throwing in a wild card.
I say it
you
like this.
know?
this
So-
was
Nation, Corey loves y'all. Host, we failed Corey. We completely failed.
I thought this was like, for me, this was such a like refreshing, like cool drink of water after the last 10 years of superhero films. Like it's the same, like to Tom's point, it's the same reason I liked Ant-Man and the Wasp was like, thank God for a second I can have some like
Something nice.
I've been drinking the same tea for 10 years and then someone brought me some sweet tea for a second. And I was like, oh, this is great.
And-
this is wonderful.
And I'll
sweet tea.
tell everyone too. I came off watching Tenet, Queen's Gambit,
y'all,
Parasite, and so when I watch this, I'm like, I feel joy.
Light.
there's dad issues in this film.
I know.
Where you think I'm going to stand on this?
I know, and that's
Where
the
you
thing. I was
think I'm
like,
gonna
the
stand on
dad
this?
issue, but is
There's
he
a dad redemption in this movie.
Dad-demption?
Redemption.
God.
Josh?
I was just gonna say, what an interesting. I mean, this is our first time covering a blockbuster released to streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a very
And also
interesting
our-
experience.
I hated it. I wanted to watch this on a big screen so
Same.
bad
Oh, yeah.
because the impact would have been so different.
but just such a
it is what it is.
weird, interesting experience.
And I mean, and that's the thing
Please
too.
don't let this be normal.
No,
Don't
let's-
accept this, please, y'all. I hated it. I was like, this.
I will buy the first ticket when it comes back to theaters. I'm just saying.
There's the grump.
um,
There's a grump right there. Corey was grumpy about it. Didn't get to watch it in a movie theater.
and I think it really could have helped when watching it in theaters, but also I just
Especially after seeing an interview with Patty Jenkins and how excited she was to be filming on IMAX.
Oh.
Yeah, that when I saw the bars come in, I was like, oh, that's right. Oh no.
so
That whole sequence was IMAX.
Sad.
Well,
I'm over it.
everybody
Wait, no,
at
I
home.
want more.
I loved the movie.
I want one thing. I want one thing. All I want to
Yeah.
say is I hope the third film goes back to Themyscira, introduces Nubia and Donna Troy. Maybe Asteria shows up and they fight Cersei, and it's like Diana having to like save her like the Amazons.
I want that. I want that
And-
with all the fibers of my person.
And it's like fully contained into Themyscira, and it's like, well, the world's not at stake. It's like, well, all the realms are at stake because it's like a pillar of magic. And so like if magic's out of whack, and you can now then do it in 2020 or 2020, wherever the time you could be, because then you could establish that the Justice League is there, but no men
Do it in
could go to
2013.
Themyscira. So
I just picked a date.
Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you thought
We did it.
of Wonder Woman 1984. Reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. DM us, slip and
We're all the
slide.
things.
Or a great way to continue the conversation is to join that Discord. nerdon.tv/Discord. There is a server in there for movies. Let's continue the conversation over there. It's fun stuff. We just passed, we are now officially over 100 members. Isn't that cool?
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Look at
That's
that.
pretty cool. In only a couple of months. So that's pretty neat.
Things have happened very quickly.
So everybody at home, thank you so much for listening. If you are new to Nerd On, welcome. Thank you so much for listening. Check out our website, nerdon.tv. It has all of the information on everything that we do, our YouTube, all of that stuff. We're on Twitch too. We stream pretty often, so check that out. Share us with your friends, your family, wherever you listen. Stop by, subscribe first, subscribey, and then rate and review. And that's it. All the business is done. Thank you so much for listening. Happy New Year. This is the first episode of 2021. But
Yeah.
love your faces. I love your ears.
love your
Yeah.
faces.
Mwah.
Love you turgidly. Anyway,
Oh.
you know the drill. As always, nerd on.
Nerd
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.